I'm delighted to say Ronan O'Gara is with us. Ronan, good morning to you. How are you?
Morning, Ger Shane.
Morning.
I don't know how much you know about the 1972 Miami Dolphins. Given that you nearly played for them, I presume they're one of your favourite stories. So, they for the uninitiated, they went through the whole season unbeaten and won the Super Bowl. And so every year, whenever the last team who were unbeaten would lose a game, they'd get together and drink champagne. So I presume when Johnny was coming off, not having broken your record at the weekend, you were popping the champagne corks and going, I'm still the record holder.
No. It's, I suppose when you see it in writing and you're the viewer watching it, it kind of reinforces the great times in an Irish jersey. The 557 points in the Six Nations is quite incredible. So Johnny will go on to break that this weekend, and he's fully deserving of that. And I'm 46. I think I'm just very grateful, genuinely, and to see someone who has, started his international career or whatever he was, 24, I think, was it? And then getting better every year. It's records are there to be broken. I gave it everything when I was playing, and I think it's very special having two Irish people there.
Unfortunately, Farrell is only about 30 points behind you and has about 5 years left, it looks like. So we should enjoy
that's
this.
That's exactly it, yeah, you're right. And I knew it would be Ger Gilroy that came in with that, because you just like pointing out things factually, which is very important, taking all the emotion out of it. And I agree with that. And
there's an undercurrent of you're a bit of an asshole, I have to say, with that one, Ronan, but thanks very much.
No, not at this lie. I sometimes it's when you get out of Ireland and you leave the emotion behind it, you got to see it as pure factual, and that's the proper observation in what it is. It's just you're playing an individual sport sometimes when you're going after those kind of personal records, and I do agree with Jenny what he said, like the Grand Slam on Saturday will be so much more fulfilling than being, I think, top point scorer. Yeah, that's a personal goal achieved, but that satisfaction with your teammates is huge. I wouldn't underestimate that.
If Ger is the robot about it, I'd like to be the romanticist about it. Like this is the golfer hitting 59. Like it's Ronnie O'Sullivan hitting his 1000th century break, Ronan. You got to enjoy these records, and like I'm sure you did at the time, but it's just one of those moments that I'm sure.
I wasn't aware, honestly. I had no idea, because I think it wasn't spoken about, it was probably when you retire you're aware of what you did. Nowadays, obviously, when they're there and they're targeted, it becomes, I suppose, relevant. But being the top point scorer in the Six Nations is something that is huge.
It's easier to break them as well rather than set them, isn't that right?
No, I wouldn't say that. You know what I mean? You've got to understand, Johnny's 37. He's been a model of consistency. He's driven. He's hugely hungry, and he's fully deserving. That I genuinely mean that. I think, when you have, achieve what I have in the game, and it's not about I and thing, but like with the run you had with Munster, with Ireland, the points in the European Cup for me would be something that would be very, very, very difficult to beat, I think, for a young kid. And you combine them all, and that's what makes me so happy for Johnny this weekend, because I posted my target in Europe, in the World Game, in the club game, and now it's someone else's time to shine. And as I said, at 46, it'd be different if the record was broken within 3 weeks. But you got to be so appreciative of this, and in the special players you play with and the times you play with. And now Johnny's going to have that record, and he's going to break some other records as well that I had. But there'll be others he won't be able to break. But that's what sport is. That's what giving everything means. And I just sometimes feel that people get bitter about these kind of things, but I'd be actually the opposite of it. And you might say that's easy for me to say on live and air, but I genuinely do feel like that. I'm completely transformed in that regard from, I suppose, going into the coaching side of it. And you don't want to put a limit on people, let them go and express themselves, and I think you could see that's why Ireland won at the weekend too, in the fact that it's this no excuses mentality, whatever it takes, and they get the job done.
Can I just to labour the point about Sexton as the captain, right? I wasn't sure if he was going to make the captain that he has become. Certainly at the start, where there's the shot of him looking up at the board when he's getting subbed off, and he seems unhappy, and just the talk to the referees was a little bit different from the way it is now. He's completely matured as a captain. Now, maybe that was always going to happen, and that's just how difficult it is. But it seems from the outside like there's a humility there, where he went off and studied how to get better at being captain, the same way he did at becoming a better 10. And really, we shouldn't have doubted. I certainly should not have had the doubt that I did at the start. I'm not sure he's going to be the great captain. Why don't we go with like one of the back rows, or James Ryan, and just skip a generation?
It's a great question. I think you're right, Ger, but I think he's been shaped, and I think that's what the environment has done to him too. I think in the fact that, it was in France away, was it, when he had a poor reaction to being substituted, and at the time there was comments about it, and but the bottom line is you cannot do that when you're the captain, and because it just gives, if that's what the captain does, imagine what a player can do. It leaves that open. So he went away, had a look, and he reshaped himself, and I think that's a credit to Andy Farrell and I suppose the environment he has created in his team, and it's one person can do it, and I think you can underestimate his role, but it would be very, very foolish to underestimate what he has done. Obviously Johnny is very, very diligent, very intelligent, very smart, and he went away, but it also takes a team effort to kind of get him to where he is today. And you are right, because he was a spiky character, but his capacity to remain an insane competitor, but also to be able to communicate without a nasty tone is so important, and there is no nastiness in his tone at the minute. And as a result, Ireland are you look at the weekend, I think Scotland were marched back for 10 metres on 2 occasions. That's huge in a test game. And normally it would be easy to associate that with Johnny, but that's all removed from his game. And the mental side of the game, Ireland are very, very strong and very, very performing.
There was a moment in the game of the weekend, or a couple of moments, Ronan, where Johnny took a couple of kicks, and it was certainly audible through the television that there was a bit of maybe we'll call it not respect for the kicker during those moments for Johnny at Murrayfield. Now, Tom English was on with us yesterday from the BBC, and he was kind of saying he couldn't really sense that in the stadium, but there was certainly a smirk from Johnny a couple of times when he went to pick up the tee and face the crowd. Like Tom was making the point that sometimes kickers prefer the little bit of noise, the little bit of aggro, the bite, the abuse nearly being hurled at them while they're kicking, and they rise to that. Were you a kicker that preferred that quiet or the little bit of bite coming at you from the away fans?
Yeah, I suppose because in Thomond Park it was complete and utter silence, and that was my norm, and that's something that spooks a lot of kickers, especially French kickers that came to Thomond Park, because in France, I suppose the norm wouldn't be silence. The unwritten rule is you can do basically whatever you want when the opposition are having a shot at goal. So there's anything goes, So from that point of view, you have to be prepared for everything. For me, and where Johnny is at his stage of the career too, it doesn't matter what people are doing. You have your routine. You snap into that 45-second routine, and you could be in your back garden, you could be in front of 180,000 people. It doesn't matter. You kind of switch into your process, and away you go. Whether people are having a hullabaloo or losing the plot with you, that's their issue. You know what you're kind of doing. You have a few little cues, and you stick to them, and the ball usually goes over the bar. Can
we just talk a little bit about the environment? It's hard for us to talk enough about what Andy Farrell has done when you consider the pathway that he's come through, where he was definitely embedded with the team, obviously, and central to the team when Joe Schmidt was there. But to take over and to go through the difficult period he had at the start, but at the same time to remain consistently true to what his principles were, while bringing on like world-class coaching talent that many other coaches might have been afraid to bring on because of, you know, the potential for somebody on the team to replace you. There's a humility there, there's a self-confidence there, there's an emotional intelligence, which is, I think, underrated in terms of the things that we talk to him about. And then there's also, we don't really know him very well. He hasn't done long interviews. He hasn't appeared on telly doing stuff. We see the press conferences and he keeps himself in a way public but private. But I suspect that what we see is actually the reality of it. So I don't know, can you talk to us a little bit about your impressions of the job that Farrell has done?
Done an amazing job, and his record obviously is astounding. And I think also the fact that what's great is that I think what the public here is Andy Farrell. I think I was lucky enough in my playing days to go over to a St. Helens game, and I think when you go over there you can appreciate that they're hard working, that they're humble, that they're respectful, that it's a different part of the world, but he's very much grounded in that rugby league background, which is similar to Sean Edwards. Everything starts and finishes with hard work. Everything is about honesty. Everything is about discipline, but it's about being yourself. And I think even at the start, he wasn't flustered by that. I think he believed in himself, and that's what he's done all his life. I think his background is one of the best players ever to play the rugby league game, and then he flirted with rugby union, made a good go at that, but he's of that Wigan team where it was probably an incredible Wigan rugby league team, and I think he was playing for Great Britain when he was 17, so like he was a freak of a player. But then he did his stages as an assistant coach. I think his principles are very simple, but he's also been very consistent, and he just wants people to be themselves. And what's probably underappreciated in that is that, an Andrew Porter to a Johnny Sexton is very, very different, but he's let the two of them be who they are to get the best out of them. For Tyg Furlong to come into the leadership group, to not miss a beat when he comes back in his first game, looks like he's playing for the last 6 weeks, because he wants people to express themselves, and expressing themselves looks very differently, but he's created a kind of a game where he wants flow, and with I suppose their understanding of the game plan, and not being a complex game plan, but based around work rate, about discipline, around having the capacity to play what they see, makes Ireland hugely threatening. The Hansen try in the right-hand corner, for example, there's very little on, but like Hugo Keenan obviously throws out an absolutely brilliant pass where Hansen doesn't break stride, but you probably in the past would have seen Ireland probably make a ruck in the 22 as opposed to just being able to pull the trigger and back themselves. And that's, I suppose, where this team is now. We've talked in the show about confidence and what it means, players with confidence. But what Ireland have at the minute, they have momentum and they have confidence in every position from 1 to 23, and it's powerful. And yet, at 8-7, Scotland had a great opportunity to create doubt in Ireland's mind, especially with losing two of their hookers. But that's what separates, I think, good from great teams, is that Scotland came up with forward passes for weak moments of play that essentially gave Ireland the initiative. And within 3 minutes, there was a different look in the game, and that they are big moments. You look at, I think when Van der Merwe went through, he has two people free outside him, and he decides to tuck the ball. If that was an Irish player, I think that's a pass, and Ireland or Scotland stroll in for a try with a two-man overlap, and Van der Merwe's defending against Conan is a 3-on-3. There's no threat whatsoever. Steps in, gets beaten. If it was at club level, you'd be extremely disappointed. But that's 14-point swing where, yes, Ireland were by far the better team in those moments of turning pressure into points. But times in this game, Ger, I felt that this could get away from Ireland. This could get away from Ireland pretty easily, but that's where they show their class.
In those moments where you thought that this could get away from them, was it Scotland missing the opportunity as much as Ireland? So, like, I guess if you're Andy Farrell and you're sitting coldly today going, well, we got away with one there, and so there's loads to work on, whereas we're all like, oh, this is amazing, we're going to win the Grand Slam, we just need to show up. And they're like, no. There's about 15 or 16 areas that we need to work on this week that are part of our continuum.
Yeah, there was some big moments, I think, when you look at Scotland in the first half. For example, the last play before half-time when the line out deep in the right-hand side and they got 1 metre from the line, and then I think Keenan came in and he had picked 2 men and he hit the second last, which stopped the try. But before that, Scotland had an opportunity, and that's a different game. If Scotland scored just before half-time, it's a huge boost to them. But there are definitely areas, I would say, when Scotland had the ball that Ireland looked condensed in defence, and that's something they look at. If they don't get their spacing right, no matter against which team, it will make for a difficult afternoon because of the quality of attack out there. But Scotland, I think, are a better team than England, and especially Scotland playing at home. They're huge, I suppose, advantage and carrot to go after Ireland. But Ireland, what great teams can do is that they can step it up, and they kill them within a 3-minute period. But I think it's still on the day in sport. People think, okay, this team just shows up and they win. You can't say that, I think, at all, because there were so many good things Ireland did at the weekend that they need to repeat to be good. Obviously at home it'll be different, because I think the England team are at they've never hit a low like they have at the minute, so they have significant problems. They looked like a team that had only come together for the first time, and you can never say that. At least with England, you're probably guaranteed a physical game. There was no physicality in their performance against France, which was very, very surprising.
Manu Tuolagi's going to be back for the weekend. Owen Farrell's going to be back for the weekend. It's suddenly a different team. I mean, obviously it's not that different. They can't fix that in one go, but there'll be some physicality in the early stages, at least from those two.
Yeah, but you've spoken about 2 backs, Ger. The game is one up front. Numbers 1 to 8 is where you need to set a platform, or you need to establish, I suppose, what your values are and how you want to play the game. So, like, in that regard, there's probably, they will be deeply criticised from their performance at the weekend. Now, you may see a different, I suppose, spark, response, reply from the English pack, but like from people who have been watching England for a long time, and for me, I was shocked, I suppose, the lack of bite from them, because that's normally what you associate with English teams in Twickenham, that they'll be very, very physical from 1 to 8. They were not like that against France.
One positive from an Irish perspective, Ronan, heading into that game of the weekend is how they reacted to adversity. Like, when you see so many players going off injured, players being played out of position, it probably surprised all of us who haven't played top level rugby when you see someone like Cian Healy down as a designated hooker, when you see Van der Fleer throwing at the line out as well. But probably to someone like yourself who's involved at top level rugby, it's not that surprising. I'm sure these guys have every single possible eventuality marked out and prepped for.
Yeah, but marked out is one thing. Being able to actually transfer it in the heat of the moment is another thing. You look at, for example, a good example of that is Cian Healy at hooker when he took the free kick and he forgot to tap the ball. It's unfortunate, but like, Cian, are you okay on that? Because he knows his role, but like, he actually forgot to tap it with his foot, which can happen to anybody. And as a coach, I'm sure the Irish management team had a little giggle about that, because that just shows that we're never bulletproof in these kind of things. But what's very evident in this Irish squad for me is it's probably a collaborative approach, if that's the right word, and the fact that it's shared responsibility, from the fact that it doesn't seem to be any big difference between staff and players. This responsibility seems shared. If you hear what they said, like at halftime, they were laughing. That's fantastic in the fact that, yeah, we've recognised, okay, we're in a bit of a hole here. We've lost our 2 hookers. So the opposite of laughing is being fear, is tensing up, is panicking, while they actually just embraced it for what it was. Okay, lads, this is exactly something that we can either embrace and we can have a crack off with a smile on our face, or else we can go, oh, this won't work, you know. But they actually just, probably because of Farrell, obviously have an environment where they're able to make jokes, and that's very important. They're able to be themselves. They say, yeah, okay, we're in a test match away from home, a grand slam on the line here. Come on, boys, let's find a solution to this. Let's have a crack off it. And that's exactly what they did. But put that on the flip side, if you can be in the Scotland management and you know that you have a substitute hooker and you haven't blocked off the first point of source of ball, you would be deeply frustrated.
Oh yeah,
deeply frustrated.
Yeah, and it feels like the post-mortem in Scotland is going to go on a long time, hopefully all the way through to after the World Cup. Ronan, I know we're out of time, but just very briefly, you're in all the papers today in England, linked with Jack Noel. Is that a done deal? Is that signed, sealed and delivered?
No.
Nice quick answer.
Will it be?
Talks are in place.
All right, okay, we'll leave it there for now. Good stuff,
Thank
Ronan. Enjoy the game.
Cheers,
Thanks a million. Cheers.